Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dragon's Demize, the podcast about what happens on, around, and behind the tabletop. I'm Greg B., joined today by Leslie.
Hello.
And Jacob.
Hello.
And today we're going to be continuing our recap from Origins 2018 by talking about many of the amazing games we played. We added it all up. We played over 25 games. So we're going to do the best we can to get to all of them, but I don't know if we'll be able to do them all justice.
Might not be a comprehensive list. There might be a few that it's just like, oh yeah, we forgot that we played this and it was a lot of fun, but there were so many games.
Yeah. Which is a good problem to have.
Very good problem to have.
To be honest. So.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start.
Well, let's start at the beginning. We started off the weekend by playing some Rising Sun.
We did.
We did, yeah.
And that was the Wednesday, I believe.
Yep, so we hung out in Hall A. Pretty excited to show off Hunter's fancy painted miniatures. It was so fun to watch everyone come by and just look at the miniatures and see how they were painted. And the Simon folks came by and took some pictures. And
Yeah, and those were super impressive. I mean, the sculpts on those miniatures are already so intricate and detailed, and to be able to like just get in there and take the amazing level of detail that's already there and just amp it up with paint, Hunter did a really amazing job with those.
Yeah, it definitely increases the level of enjoyment of the game, which I'm sure he appreciates.
Definitely.
Because overall, as just a game style, I wouldn't put Rising Sun as one of my favorite game styles, but I definitely really enjoyed playing it that time. So that was a good time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was.
Jacob's still a little bit salty about getting totally stomped in year 2.
Salty.
I may have taken his monster hostage.
Monsters. No, you're right.
monsters.
You only took one.
I only took one of your... It just happened to be the monster that you had put your whole strategy around. Yep. And I did not win, but I lost by only 2 points to Jason. So
yeah.
So a pretty good game.
It was fun.
And that actually was not the first game we played.
Yes, I overlooked one. A very important one.
The first game we played was Spirit Island, because the second we were all together in the same place, we had to play a 5-person game of Spirit Island.
Yep.
And teaching someone how to play Spirit Island in a 5-player game when the 5th person has never played before was a unique experience. But Jason ran with it, and he appreciated everything, and he was with it.
Yeah,
and
I mean, he even joined us for the second game that we played later in the week.
Yep.
So, I mean, he clearly enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yes, they all decided they were going to play Spirit Island, and it was already 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I went to bed.
That was a smart thing to do.
It was. We make really good decisions when we're together.
Yes, we do.
But yeah, it was a blast. It was our first time playing on the 5-player mat. And, you know, obviously when you play on that side, you are also playing on the thematic side. So there was just a lot going on. And there was, you know, multiple boards where we were like, we're overwhelmed. But, you know, everybody was pretty cohesive about, you know, responding to threats on the board and getting their presence across the map if they needed to.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
We did have to take a break to sleep the first game, because we played till about 1 in the morning, and that's when I just need sleep. I just can't. I can't hack it. I get to a certain point, and unless it's the last night of a convention and I'm surrounded by friends, I probably don't have the energy to make it any further. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, it was still a good time. And then we woke up and finished the game.
Yeah.
So
which was a great way to start the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a really good way to kick off the convention, because we love that game so much.
But we also played, you know, those are games that we brought. But we also got to play a bunch of games that were either demos or that we picked up while we were there. And there were tons of those.
So the theme of the week was how many city games can we play for a while. I played London with some friends. My friend JR brought it, and he's always good for a good Euro game. And I will admit I didn't love the game. I do typically like Euro games, but there was just something about the card element that was not jiving for me that particular day. I may have to try playing it again before I make a final decision, but I just got frustrated with the cards I was getting, and I wasn't able to make them into a cohesive strategy.
Sure.
So that felt pretty frustrating. But everybody else had a really good time. We played with Dina, who we mentioned on the last episode, and JR, who's fantastic, and Hunter, my husband, played with us. So yeah, it was a good time. What other city games?
We played Warsaw City of Ruins.
Yeah,
which I missed that one.
You were super excited about, Jacob. Because I know, obviously you feel sort of an attachment to Warsaw.
I mean, it's a game about Poland. I think in the same way that Leslie has an attachment to games about Russia, I have an attachment to games about Poland.
Makes sense.
So I've been excited about that since we talked to Luke about that at International Tabletop Day.
Yeah.
Luke from North Star Games. And we got to play it. It's an interesting game. I think that it's one of those tile laying games, but it has a really cool mechanic of being able to stack tiles on top of each other, so overbuild them. And when you overbuild, it's actually cheaper, and being able to use that mechanic is pretty interesting. And I mean, Hunter wiped the floor with us, like completely and utterly. I think by at least 50 points to the next person. And so there was that, but I think that if I played it a few more times, I'd get the hang of exactly like what is the best strategy for it and all that. And I in general like tile laying type games. So so it was fun.
I played Carthago with JR and Hunter, and that was interesting. Another sort of Euro style, but pretty easy to pick up once you kind of get a grasp of the core mechanics. You're trying to build it's actually not a trading dominance as much as it is a political dominance. You're kind of trying to combine power in acquiring resources with influence in seats on the council, and all of that sort of gets converted into points. So it was a lot of fun, very gorgeous artwork, very highly stylized, and it was a lot of fun. I'd definitely be willing to play that again.
Yeah, I also played with JR and Hunter Bruges. And if it makes you feel any better about Warsaw, I smoked them. I'd never played before. Hunter loves Bruges. Bruges is a Stephen Feld game. It is sadly out of print, and every birthday and Christmas, and I check what the crazy price of Bruges is in that particular month, and it just hasn't come down below like $200. Yeah, so we're just hoping it gets reprinted. But, I had never played the game before, so I didn't really know what a good strategy was, and I just figured, getting good resources out from the get-go seemed like a good plan. And it worked for me, and I beat them by like 20 points, which is... It felt like a lot. So,
for sure.
And I think they just were super into their strategies, and I was into whatever strategy my cards happened to present to me. So that worked out for me, and I actually really enjoyed it. Again, though, it's out of print, and the expansion, which we played with as well, is also out of print. So if you get a chance to play Bruges, I highly recommend it, but it may be difficult to find, and I apologize.
Bit of a grail game.
Well, yeah. Every time we see JR, it's please bring Bruges. Please bring Bruges. Don't forget to pack Bruges. So, yeah.
And then I think rounding out the city theme games, you got a chance to play Rurik, which you mentioned previously, your friend Stan designed.
Right. So, Rurik, Dawn of Kiev. Kiev being the city there, Rurik is actually the Rurikovichi dynasty was the ruling class of that area of the Kievan Rus at the time. And the game, it's a worker placement game. We demoed about one round of the game at the booth. The game's hitting Kickstarter in July, I believe. We do say for sure in the interview when it is hitting Kickstarter, but gotcha. I will be backing it. And it's awesome worker placement Euro style game with a lot of history, amazing art, and you're playing as the descendants of Vladimir after he has passed, and who is going to take over rule of the area at the time. So you're playing prince and princesses of Russia. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. You mentioned, so you got to play that at the demo table, and there were actually several games that we got to play at demo tables this weekend. Warsaw was one, but also Gamma Grunts, the game which is designed by our friend Josh Hipsher at Hipline Industries. Gamma Grunts, we got to demo sort of the first turn or two of that, and that was really interesting. You're like a mad scientist trying to take over the world, and they describe it as a deck smash game. So it's a deck builder game where you're acquiring cards from a center row, but you have a mechanic called Smash, which is where you actually like destroy cards from your opponent's deck. So it's got much more player interaction than you usually see in a deck builder. And that was really fun to play and really interesting. I'm excited to pick that up again.
For sure. And that's also going to be on Kickstarter, I believe, the week after Gen Con. So be sure to keep your eye out for that. And then there was another one that actually, Leslie, you saw first and then brought us over to.
So we had a lot of meetings on Friday, and I saw that there was a gap in our schedule, and I said, there's this game I really want to demo, and so I'm going to drag you guys over and we're going to demo this game. And thankfully Greg and Jacob are pretty nice guys, and they've just followed me. And so we sat down to demo a game called Tea Dragon Society, and it is ridiculously adorable.
Reader, I died.
Yes.
It's really cute. The art is adorable. It's based on a graphic novel about a society of people who care for tea dragons. Funny story. The little dragons are just so cute, and there's really basic deck building mechanics. It's a really light game, a game that's easy to teach and easy to play. And between the three of us, we bought 5 copies of Tea Dragons.
Cleaned them out.
And I was informed later that it was our fault that they sold out. But the game is going to be available for wide release this month, so that should be pretty easy to get your hands on. But I played it. I bought a copy for my friend who watched our cat while we were out of town, and she just commented that it was so calming. It was, so calming and relaxing, and just to sit down and be able to play a pretty light game and enjoy the adorable art of the tiny dragons playing with balls of yarn and other things on the cards. So if you're looking for something like that, I highly recommend it.
Can't go wrong with Tea Dragon Society.
Yep.
A couple others we got to demo. You guys got to demo Rising 5, which I know was super exciting. Leslie, you said that you were drawn in by the statement that it was a logic game.
Yeah.
With, I forget what the other element was, how you described it.
Well, he called it a logic puzzle.
Yeah.
So first, Hunter had demoed the game, and he didn't want to pick it up if I wasn't interested in playing it. So he tried for many days and hours to drag us over to demo Rising 5, and finally forcibly brought me over to the booth. And I sat down. Jacob sat down as well. Yep. And the first words out of the demo person's mouth were, "This is a logic puzzle." And I was like, "You can buy it now. I'm sold." As a kid, I loved those logic puzzles with the little graphs, and this thing about this person, and this person has a green shoe, and this person has a blue t-shirt, and you have to figure out who has the red pants, And I don't know why I loved them so much, but I did, and I haven't done those for years. So this looked like a fun time. It's a cooperative game. And the other fun element is the app. It's got an app component where you use the app to determine where you're at in the puzzle.
Gotcha.
So with which sigils are correct and incorrect, and potentially in the correct spot or not in the correct spot. And I really love Alchemists. So
yeah, I was just thinking that.
So like the first time I played Alchemists, I was more excited about determining which... I wanted to know all of the different ingredients and what they all corresponded to, and I actually figured them all out during the game. And that was more important to me than winning the game.
Right.
But yeah, so we really did enjoy that. It is cooperative, so you have 5 characters within the game, and each character has a different ability, and you get cards with the different characters on them, and you can take actions as those characters, and everybody collectively can move those characters.
Okay.
So when we played the demo person had everyone lay their cards out, which I think for a demo makes the most sense. But unfortunately, as a cooperative game, it does lead a bit to quarterbacking if you do that.
Yeah.
So I would say once you know how to play the game, have everybody have their cards in their hand, and I think that would lead to a more universally enjoyable experience.
Probably.
Makes sense.
But we did pick up a copy of the game. Jacob picked up a copy of the game. So between the team of Dragon's Demize, we have 2 copies of Rising 5. And I'd actually be interested in playing that one alone. I don't typically play solo games, but figuring out a solo logic puzzle, I'm all about.
Sure. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's a pretty fun game. I did like just how it worked, and it's one of those, I do like Alchemist, but it's one of those games that I can't really bring to table very much because it is a decently complex game, and like with the app and everything like that, you've got a lot going on. This is almost like a lighter cooperative version of that, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, so other stuff we got to demo, the Paw Warrior guys, Ben and Josh, we got to sit down and demo their games. Both of their games, actually, Imberia, and as well as Ogre Cheerleaders, which is the new one that they have. And I picked up Ogre Cheerleaders right away.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It's really super light. It's a 2-player only game. You can flex to have more, but it's designed for 2 players. And It's really simple. I compared it to like gin rummy.
Yeah.
You've got a formation of cheerleaders in the center, each of whom has an associated number and a team. And you, on your turn, you play cards into the edges of the formation, which have an effect. And then you can score based on whether there's straights or runs or flushes or pairs, and what have you. And it's really quick. It's simple. I think it plays in like 10 minutes.
Something like that, 10 to 15 minutes.
And maybe even less.
Yeah, it was a blast. Like, it's just it's a great game for travel. You could play it. We didn't, but you probably could have played it on the seat back tray table thing on the flight. And it's just, quick, lighthearted fun.
Yeah, for sure. It really was a lot of fun. And then we also got to sit down and actually finally play Illimat.
We did, yeah. I remember.
All three of us demoed that game.
Yeah.
That might be the only game all three of us sat down together to play.
I think so, in terms of demos at least.
Demos, yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the game quite a bit. It was interesting. It was pretty much based on almost regular cards, or not regular, but like cards with
1 through 10s and then the
1
face
through 10s,
cards
face cards, and that kind of stuff.
It did throw me off when I saw like a 14, though.
yeah, exactly. It goes up to like a 14, and the mechanics behind it are very interesting. I like just the physicality of it because you're actually using the box bottom as like part of the game, which is fun. And then you have like little other pieces that you're trying to get, and how when certain cards get flipped over, they have certain effects that like everyone can use, and they change the game and how it's played. And so it's a lot of fun. And that's going to be our next Board Game Bistro.
We're very excited.
Yes. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to be teaching you how to play. We're going to be talking about some just atrocious food puns.
Yes.
Like we do. But yeah, Board Game Bistro for Illimat is going to be dropping soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how I'm going to decorate my kitchen for that, but it'll
see.
be entertaining.
Maybe I should film it in black and white.
Ooh, there you go, noir style.
Maybe I have like a cloak with a hood.
I was thinking we could get your wizard cloak and just treat it like a secret society, because that's sort of the theme of the game, right?
True.
So.
It's funny, the more we talk about games we demoed, the more games I remember that I demoed. I do want to mention 5 Minute Chase by our friends over at Board and Dice. If you're looking for a very quick, very entertaining, fast-paced, real-time game, 5 Minute Chase is that. We actually picked up a copy after demoing it. One person is playing the police, chasing the other person through the city, and the person going through the city who's, I guess, robbed the bank or something, has to go to 3 different locations before ultimately getting to the hideout, because he has to get the keys and he has to get this other thing. And the person playing the police has to look at these tiny little faces on the cards to determine which direction someone went. So it's a little stressful because it's real time, but it's very short, so that makes it kind of okay in my book. It was very entertaining, a lot of fun. So we did pick up that. I also demoed Sleepy Hollow from Greater Than Games. So, unfortunately, my character died really fast, which, we could have recycled, gone back a turn because it's a demo and it's a cooperative game.
Right.
But I am curious to see where that game goes. I do, of course, we love Spirit Island. I love Sentinels of the Multiverse. So I do always kind of pay attention to the games coming from Greater Than Games. I love their stuff. I'm going to have to play Sleepy Hollow again.
Sure.
It does look like there's an intriguing story to follow along there. And there is built-in replayability. So I'm looking forward to trying that again, hopefully at Gen Con. There was one more that I demoed. Echidna Shuffle.
Oh, right.
What I originally thought was the cutest game of Origins before I found Tea Dragons. Echidna Shuffle is pretty much a children's pick up and deliver game where you're marching these tiny little plastic echidnas across a board, and it's really cute because there's tiny little echidnas, and I wanted to buy it for my niece, but it didn't work out. I think they sold out. They also only took cash, and I never was able to get to an ATM, but I'm hoping to pick up a copy of that for her as well. So if you're looking for a good game to play with some kids, I would definitely recommend that. You go to little locations and you pick up bugs, and then you deliver the bugs back to your house.
That sounds adorable.
So cute.
And there's little like miniature echidnas, right?
Yeah. They're like 2.5, 3 inches tall, like plastic echidnas with little plastic bugs that there's like a peg on them that go into your back. I was a little bitter that Hunter got to be the bees.
Oh.
But I was butterflies, so it was okay.
All right. Those are the games that we sort of demoed and sort of found almost gems in some cases. But there were some games as well that were like the talk of the convention, the hotness. Yep. And those were Reef and the new Century game, Eastern Wonders.
Yeah.
Eastern Market?
So everyone knows Century Spice Road. And then Plan B released the sequel to that game, Century Eastern Wonders, which involves placing little markets on tiles. But here in DC, there's actually a place called Eastern Market.
Right. Which is coincidentally where the friendly local gaming store is.
Right. So we're there relatively often.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we kept calling it Century Eastern Market. And it's not, this is a term of endearment, Plan B. We're not making fun of you, we promise.
Yep.
But yeah, so we acquired copies of both of those games. Yes. I think you guys had a chance to demo Century before you bought it? Or Nope, just bought it blind.
No, the line to... So Century Spice Road was very popular last year at Origins. It released it last year. And then actually Hunter got into that line immediately and was still like... That line wrapped around their booth twice.
Wow.
Yep.
Which, from what I understand, is... It's pretty common at Gen Con to see that. Not as common... From my understanding, to see that at Origins.
Gotcha.
We were able to pick up a copy. We got it signed by the designer, Emerson, who was very nice, very gracious. And,
that's awesome.
You know, we picked up a mat for Jacob's Gollum edition and had him get that signed too. And we just thanked him because he makes such great games that are so much fun.
And we had a chance to play a couple rounds of it. I know we played one that was sort of a standalone because Eastern Wonders can actually be played standalone.
Yes.
And then there was also, we played a game where it was combined with Spice Road.
Yes.
Because you can do that as well. And so both, I think, were interesting. I wasn't in the standalone game, but you guys were talking about how, you know, instead of having merchant cards that you play from your hand to make trades, you've got basically like market stalls on an archipelago that you perform trades at. And then you acquire cards or acquire cubes using harvest action, I think you called it.
Yes, that's what it is.
And then how did that compare to like the game that we played where it was synthesized?
I'm not sure which version I like better. I think that both of them work very well. The movement mechanic in the base game of Eastern Wonders.
Not Eastern Market.
Not Eastern Market. In the base version, like the movement mechanic to me makes sense, but almost seems limiting. The fact that you can only move like one space per turn unless you like put down spices pretty much.
Well, and you can pick up that ability.
Which gives you up to 2.
Right.
But it's just like, it seems, for me, it was just a little bit of that kind of too much of that type of thing and not enough of the like, you know, choosing what kind of engine you want to do. Because, for example, if you're playing Century Spice Road, your engine is all based on the cards that you pick up.
Right.
And so you can create your engine like that and adjust on the fly like that. Whereas here, it's just like if one of the tiles that you need for your engine is across the board, you have to very much change your entire engine in order to either get there or not use it. So for me, that was a little bit frustrating, which is why I liked the version that had the Century Eastern Wonders and Century Spice Road combined, because you do have the cards. So it's almost like you can use the combination of the two, where like you have part of your engine in your hand and part of your engine on the board, which I actually really did enjoy.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting, like a sort of interesting way to combine the two games. And I thought it played pretty well.
Yeah. I will say, after playing the standalone and then the combined version, being able to cruise straight across the board to pick up the tile that I wanted to get immediately was pretty great.
Sure.
And
for sure.
It's definitely more flexible in the combined version. The Eastern Wonder by itself is definitely a different challenge.
Right.
Yes, exactly. They're a little slightly different feels. I don't know if either of them is better than the other, but I do enjoy them both.
Yeah. And then Reef was the other sort of big hit at Origins this year. Another kind of aquatic or maritime themed game.
Also for Plan B.
Also designed by Emerson.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, clearly he's the
Origins guy.
He's the guy.
The hotness at Origins.
Yeah. We were eating tacos across the street for breakfast.
Yeah.
And Tom Vasel walks by and just says, "Hi, buy Reef," and walks away.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I actually got to play with Tom and
nice.
Mike while they were waiting for people to come back to the Dice Tower booth. One of the nights we were hanging out in Hall C, so they were breaking out Reef, and it's 4-player game. So Hunter and I sat down and played a game. We were waiting on you guys, I think.
Yep.
And it was fun. I mean, I will say when you first look at this game, it looks like a children's game. It looks
really
like
does.
Very much.
It looks like Fisher-Price tiles, but don't let that fool you.
Nope.
Yeah, there's some complexity there. Basically, you're using 4 different colors of coral to build colors and shapes to build a reef, and then scoring points based on certain configurations. So you have cards in your hand, and each card can be played in one of 2 ways. You can either play it to put usually 2 pieces of coral. I think it's exclusively 2 pieces of coral into play each turn, and you can put them anywhere on your 4x4 grid, or you can stack them on top of other coral that already exist. So
Is it
just
only
like
4x4?
Yeah. It's deceptively small. And then once you've done that, once you've sort of gotten the coral into the configuration that you want, you can score based on a combination of the patterns of color sort of on the grid horizontally or on the heights of your coral towers vertically. So there's a lot of nuance that goes into scoring any given card, and it's kind of fragile a little bit, honestly. If someone takes the card that you were looking to draft and uses it themselves or what have you.
And in a perfect world, you can both gain tiles and score on the same card.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Each of the cards has both, and it's very hard to get both of them to a point where they'll both help you out in a big way.
That was my consistent goal.
Yeah.
And I succeeded in it all but like twice, I think. And one time I thought I had it and I didn't.
Yeah. Like we had an issue. We played with Jason as well.
Yeah.
And at one point, we forgot about one of the rules. I was like, wait a minute. No, we can't do that. You can't double count any of the actual coral tiles.
Right.
Also, we played, and I think this is true of most gaming conventions, you pick up a lot of quick play at the bar kind of games.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the games that caught Hunter's attention while we were sifting through all of the games. We listened to a bunch of the podcasts and video stuff on our way to Origin. And that's sort of a board game convention tradition because, you're in the car for a while. But if you fly, you can't bring home all of the board games you bought.
Thank goodness
you
that
can
guys
try.
drove.
So one of the games that caught Hunter's attention on that was Orc Olympics. And it was super funny because we were hanging out also at the taco shop. We ended up at the taco shop numerous times. And I'm not exactly sure why it didn't get a mention on our last episode as food. But the tacos were very good.
Yeah.
They take a little bit of time, though, just to warn you. So Hunter looks over and he sees someone with a box of Orc Olympics. And he says, "Oh, hey, how was that game?" And we were immediately invited to play it.
There we go.
That's Origins for you.
Yeah. So
and that's Hunter for you.
It is. And it also turned out that they were from the company that designs the game, Brain Games.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So Jason, Hunter, and I played with the 2 guys from Brain Games, and we had a great time. And it's a very entertaining little quick card game about orcs and elves and whatnot in the Olympics, and their little. They have like a strength competition and a speed competition. It's very light, very cute art. I would play that again in a bar. And the other game that I learned this game last year at Origins, picked up a copy at Gen Con, and I carry it with me when I'm traveling, is Scroll or Die. It's by Fight in a Box Games, who's also at some point designing a game about a space princess, and I'm very excited for that day. But I haven't seen anything on it recently. But Squirrel or Die is a tile laying game where everyone is a squirrel, and you spend the first round, which is autumn, hiding your food and hiding all of the skulls that will ultimately kill everyone.
I'm sorry, the what?
The skulls.
The skulls.
Yeah, there's like poison, and there's a cat and different other things that might end up killing the squirrel. And then the second half of the game goes very quickly. It's winter, so you spend winter uncovering your food, and sometimes you uncover a cherry or a plum or an acorn, and sometimes you uncover poison or a trap or a cat, unless you collect one of the special tiles that gives you like an extra life. Once you collect 3 skulls, you're dead. So the game goes very fast. It plays in less than 10 minutes. The person who goes first is the person who can make the best squirrel impression.
Nice.
And it's just very lighthearted, super cute. It's midnight and we're waiting for our friends to finish playing Secret Hitler. Kind of a game to play.
Yeah.
So
Just a good in-between game.
yeah.
Speaking of in-between,
Segue.
did you see that segue?
I did.
Flawless.
So yeah, I picked up a few games that I didn't actually get to play, and one of them is In Between. This game is from Board and Dice as well, and it looked fun. It's pretty much Stranger Things, the board game.
Yep.
2 people vying for the souls of the people in a neighborhood. One person going for the evil side and one person going for the good side.
Right.
And so you're just vying, and it's almost like a tug of war type game. So it seemed very interesting, and so I decided to go ahead and pick it up.
There you go.
That, as well as Multi-Universum, which is a kind of like card-based like universe, kind of like Galactic Empire type of game.
Okay, I like the sound of this.
Which I don't know all too much about, but when I was interviewing Irek, he said that it was his game that he would take to a desert island. So I was like, that is a very, very high praise, even if it is your own game. Like that is pretty high praise, because I mean we asked that question a few times of some other people, and barely any of them actually chose their own games.
Right.
Yeah.
They chose other ones. So when someone does, it makes me take notice. So I went ahead and picked that one up too.
You know, when you make your own game, you play test it a lot, and you might not want to be stuck on a desert island with it.
Yeah, play testing it forever.
Yeah. Fixing it and changing it. We also picked up Black Orchestra, which is a cooperative game about killing Hitler. Very
always fun.
Historic. You play year by year through World War II, and I have not gotten a chance to play this yet. But Hunter has a degree in history, and he loves World War II. We've been to a lot of World War II museums, and I was like, I heard somebody talking about this game, and I told him, you need to go buy this game for yourself. It's just you need this game in your life. And I did overhear them playing at home on Wednesday, excitedly killing Hitler. So it was pretty entertaining to listen to. Sounded like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds like his kind of game.
And then he also picked up Transatlantic, which I know almost nothing about, actually, except that there's a lot of ships in it, and there's a whole history book about the ships that are in the game.
Yep.
So there's a whole history book about the ships in the game, which is really neat, and it kind of lets you learn more about the history of the world, which it's great when you can expand your mind outside of the board game when you're playing a game. So look forward to seeing what that's about.
It's like lore, but for real life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then we also got to play a bunch of games that we are planning to review. So, a bunch of the stuff that we've already talked about, I'm sure we'll be reviewing at some point down the line. But one of the ones that we're hoping to review probably relatively soon is Dur. Dur is a social deduction-esque game, except you're less trying to figure out who people are. You're not trying to determine their identities so much as you're trying to figure out how you can work against them and work and take advantage of them in such a way that benefits you. It's very politicking. It reminded me a lot of Coup, actually.
I believe the term he uses on the box is social combat.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. But so you're basically playing lesser houses of a fantasy realm named Dur, and you're trying to vie for great house status. So you're trying to scandalize your opposing houses, cast suspicion on them. And there's a really interesting mechanic where you start out favored, which is that the people of Dur sort of generally trust you and like you, and you can become disfavored, where they don't trust you so much, and some of your actions are less effective. And then you become vilified, where you actually lose access to all of the core actions of the game and get an entirely new set of actions. So it's interesting. I'm looking forward to playing it a couple more times and giving it a review. So keep your ears peeled. That's a metaphor, but stay tuned. We'll probably be bringing you a review of that at some point in the near future.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe that's a good overview of what we've been playing at Origins 2018.
Yeah, pretty comprehensive.
So many games.
There were a lot of games.
And there were still games I wanted to play. I found this cute game with little like druids in
Druids?
yeah. There were these little pastel druids, and I have it bookmarked. I'll show you later.
Yes.
And that I found like on Sunday after you guys left.
Right.
And there was another game that I walked by that I was like, oh, I wanted to try that too. And there's just
Never enough time.
Grim Forest.
Yep.
That one has really cool looking miniatures. I hear it's a pretty good gateway game.
Yep.
Yeah, so many more games to play.
So many. There's always more games. And that's the great part about the hobby. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
And last week's episode.
And last week's
the sort of tandem Origins recap.
Yeah.
All Origins all the time. Not anymore though, but that's it. Till next year.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out our YouTube channel because all of our interviews should be up. So definitely check that out. The Jenga interviews from all of Origins. And then, so yeah, we hope that you enjoyed this little glimpse into Origins 2018. Also, be sure to check out WashingCon.com. Tickets are on sale now, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of really cool people, some fun events. It's going to be a great time. Be sure to get your tickets as soon as possible because, that's just good to do. And then next week, we have a review coming out. That's going to be me and Leslie, and the two of us are going to be reviewing Alien Frontiers. So be sure to tune in for that next week.